Welcome to the AFN Sports Arena with Jantzee and Tory. I'm your host, Jantzee Ellis, joined in the AFN Okinawa studio by Air Force Staff Sergeant Tory Kuzumano.
New year, new me, Jantzee. No sound effects.
No sound effects. We're going bare bones.
That's
here.
right. The production value is declining. Usually goes up on podcasts, Jantzee. Not here.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
We have big plans for 2018,
yes,
though.
we do.
We'll see. So how's it going? How are your holidays?
They were excellent. I'm feeling refreshed, recharged. Good. A lot has happened in the sports world, that's for sure.
Definitely. I missed a few weeks of action. I was traveling, but I got back just in time for the best bowl games and to beat my husband in the bowl pick'em.
Oh, nice.
And, that always feels good.
I lost in the championship game of my family fantasy league to my aunt.
Ooh.
And I was so mad. So mad. I was in first place all year long. Yeah. Scored way more points than anybody else. Made it to the championship game, and then my team laid a big fat egg.
My husband always makes fun of me when there's like something that I don't know about sports or something like that. He says, "You're going to sit there owning a sports podcast and not know blah, 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 blah." And so now I'm like, in your face.
Yeah, exactly. I beat you in the bowl pick'em.
I can pick some games.
Very nice.
So the trick is you've always got to pick some upsets because you really never know.
It's just like March Madness. Yeah. They're going to happen. Yeah. You just have to know where they're going to happen. Exactly. There was quite a few of them this year.
There was. But there weren't really any. You can't really have upsets in the playoffs because, they're 4 top teams in the country.
Exactly.
And you just know they're going to be good games, or you hope so.
Right.
So those happened. We'll get to those. And then, of course, the NFL regular season came to a close, and we finally have a playoff picture. So let's jump right into it. Of course, you have to talk about the college football playoffs, which were played on New Year's Day. The best game by far was the Georgia Bulldogs taking on Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. Please tell me you watched that game.
It was such a good game,
Oh,
Jantzee.
my gosh.
Double OT, are you kidding me?
It was beautiful.
It was everything that you wanted. Old Baker Mayfield can't keep himself out of trouble, though, can he? Doing the choke thing to the poor kicker.
No, he just has so much passion. It just blows out of him. He just can't even contain it.
Well, you know what? His reputation as a bully was not helped by the fact that kicker was wearing glasses.
Yeah.
it just was like,
when we saw
like in the
Rodrigo
hallways
Blankenship
of high school, like just this Poindexter-looking dude that's getting bullied by Baker Mayfield.
He couldn't get contacts for this. He just played that up.
You know what, though? He made kicks. He
did.
That one. He made some kicks.
And then he had a Rose Bowl record. I think it was 55 yards.
Yep.
Well, spoiler alert, it ended in double overtime, which it was the first game in college football playoff history even to go into overtime in the first Rose Bowl in history.
Double OT. I love college football overtime.
It was so good. So, and it culminated with the Bulldogs blocking a Sooner field goal and then Georgia running back Sony Michael taking it all the way for a touchdown.
27 yards. Nothing more satisfying than a walk-off touchdown.
Yep. It could have been a little more flashy. But it, nonetheless, added insult to injury, that block kick.
Yeah.
So they won the game 54-48, but it was a roller coaster ride the entire time. Both teams scored right out of the gate, but it didn't take long for Mayfield to build up a 17-point lead at one point, even catching a touchdown, which was amazing. I mean, it was an ugly throw, but, there was nobody on him. Nobody expected it.
No, the defenders had no clue what was going on. Did you watch the replay? Those guys did not look behind them once.
No, they didn't even see.
No,
the
they didn't even
Trophy
know.
Winner.
Right.
Getting behind
How do you lose track of Baker Mayfield? That dude's everywhere. He's planting the flag at the middle of the field.
Because the guy with the ball sold it.
Yeah, he did.
He accelerated. He made it look like he was going to run in, and then it was an ugly throw.
Did the old sidearm Sammy,
Loop-de-loo
flailing around.
It was ugly, but Baker caught it. It was a duck, but he caught it.
Yeah.
And then something must have happened to the Bulldogs at halftime because they came out fired up. They picked off Mayfield and went to work closing up the gap. But by the time regulation ended, it was all tied up, and then the rest was history. And that block field and ensuing touchdown that I mentioned earlier.
That game was, you know what it was, Jantzee? It was hype.
It was
a hype game. You thought I was going to use any sound effects. Little did you know, my New Year's resolution was to be a liar. No, I'm just kidding.
So after halftime, I think Oklahoma just started, playing a little more conservative. They were playing not to lose.
Which is a great way to lose.
Exactly. Their first 5 possessions, I think, were punt, 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 interception, punt.
It's the most frustrating thing as a fan to watch is when you're coaching staff. And I get it. I get the thought process behind it.
Yeah.
but nobody.
One of their highlights of their offense has been ball security and
Right.
game management. They don't give away stupid things, but
If you're going to play that way, your team has to be constructed the right way. You have to have a stellar defense. And then if you don't have the tools on offense, then you need to do that and manage them well. You've got a freaking a lightning rod in Baker Mayfield. Turn him loose.
Yeah.
Put the game out of reach. This is not the regular season.
Make
this
it
is
ugly.
for
We don't
all
care.
the marbles.
Yeah. That's what happened. It was so sad. Baker Mayfield, like we said, he wears his emotions on the sleeve.
Yes, he does.
Sleeve, and you just saw. He just absolutely devastated in the post-game conference. But he has a bright future. I think he'll...
Most definitely. That's the kind of guy, we've talked about this before on this podcast, that a team can rally around, and I think he's going to go far. I hope he does. I hope he grows up, but he keeps that fire and emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of articles saying, let Baker be Baker,
Yeah, but that's, you can't, it's like let Manny be Manny in the MLB. He was doing all sorts of wonky stuff. There's a point where it becomes a distraction.
Yes.
So if he can keep his shenanigans below distraction level, then engage in any tomfoolery and antics that you want to.
But I am rooting for the guy. It's actually funny. My husband's, I accidentally chose Georgia on my bowl pick'em.
Accidentally?
Because I was just going through, it was like late at night when he made me do it. It was right before we left on our trip, and I didn't want to do it, but he's like, we have to do it before we leave because the games start. And I just saw Georgia, I guess, and I didn't even think about it. And I just selected Georgia. And when he told me, he's like, well, if you win this, then you win. And I was like, wait, but I want Oklahoma. He's like, well, you chose Georgia.
Oh.
And Georgia won. So
there you go. Nothing against your boy Baker.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Oh, my goodness. But an erroneous click.
Really,
can you lord that over your husband? I know so much more about sports than you.
Know.
My wrong click won me the
we
championship.
We don't have to tell him that. We don't have to tell him that.
I would hope
he's not an avid listener.
What?
Yeah.
Not an avid listener?
He says he is.
Come on, Devin. Step it up.
I know. He says he is, but then I'll say, like, well, did you hear me talk about this? He's like, oh yeah. Yeah, I did. Like,
I know that number. I know that move. I've employed that move. Yeah, man. I totally know what you're talking about.
Play it off. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I know the truth. Oh, moving on. And then it was on to the Sugar Bowl with number 1 Clemson facing number 4 Alabama. And there was quite a bit of controversy surrounding that they even made it into the playoff, Alabama.
Yes.
Especially after Ohio State beat USC handedly in the Cotton Bowl. But the highly anticipated matchup between the two powerhouses was a total dud, in my opinion. Especially after all that adrenaline from the Rose Bowl. It was such a letdown.
Like a rematch. Like this, if
this
this
is the
would have
one
been
you
a
were
classic,
expecting to
this
be
was
like,
Alabama Clemson 3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this are two heavyweight boxers going at each other, and they had an opportunity to solidify their spot as like one of the better rivalries of this era.
And
in an era that's lacking a lot of great rivalries, to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of them are running on fumes, and they're just built up from decades of history. And it missed the mark a little bit. Alabama they took it to them. Yeah,
Alabama rolled past the Tigers 24-6 and held Clemson without a TD for just the second time in 131 games under Dabo Swinney. The Tigers couldn't get anything going, and the doubts about Alabama's injury-decimated defense quickly began to fade away. So here we are. Alabama's headed to the title game for the 3rd year in a row, and we have an all-SEC college football championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you feel about that?
Boo.
But before we get into previewing the big game, we have to mention that there is apparently already a national champion for this season.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. University of Central Florida, who finished the season as the only undefeated team in college football after beating Auburn in the Peach Bowl, has declared that they are the 2017 national champions. What do you make of this?
I'm on UCF's side.
Really?
I don't think that I don't know if they would have won the national championship, but they should have been given a chance.
Okay, well, their reasoning behind this is that they just didn't get the respect they deserve from the selection committee because they aren't a Power 5 conference.
Yeah, and that's all. That's the thing is they're playing at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They could blow everybody out of the water. They could play Alabama every game in a regular season and beat them all the time, and they're still at a disadvantage because they're not in a Power 5 conference.
I don't know about that.
That's an extreme example, Jantzee.
But the big knock against them is strength of schedule because they do play in those lesser conferences. But their biggest selling point is the fact that they're the only team to finish undefeated, and they beat Auburn.
Look what they did to Auburn. The proof is on the field where it should be.
Who already beat the two teams that are playing for the national championship.
Yeah.
Now, you can say, like, especially Alabama losing to Auburn. Like, they had a lot of injuries. They weren't, a lot of things were stacked against them. It was, the big rivalry game, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, if you look at simple math, they beat the one who beat the two top.
Exactly.
But they didn't have as rough as the regular season. They didn't face the same caliber of opponents.
Right. But all of those questions going into that game against Auburn were, could they beat an SEC team? Could they beat a national champion quality team?
And they did.
And they did, Jantzee. And this is something I've even going back to when we were talking about the selection committee that I mentioned, is that the proof should always be on the field. And UCF proved in this game and all of this season, really, that they deserved a chance.
But see, it's impossible to have everybody play each other.
No, you're right. But expand the field.
Yeah.
Expand the field from 4 teams. I get 4 teams is not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
They were going on saying about how the BCS was so much better because it was more subjective.
They would have been way worse.
Objective, I mean.
I was going to say, subjectivity is what we're trying to eliminate. But with 4, you're only eliminating a little bit of that subjectivity. Yeah. Let's take it out. I mean, it's never going to be gone completely because of the ranking system.
Yeah. Everybody can't play everybody.
But if you expand it to 8 teams or even 12 teams or however many you want to do, then it gives you a much better chance to see you're going to have a team like UCF that probably could have been up there. I mean, how great is it in March Madness when that 12th seed makes it all the way, the Cinderella team makes it all the way to the championship? That's what college football is missing out on. And
I think their argument with, how the BCS was better is that sometimes things did happen, like Utah playing in the Sugar Bowl, and Utah playing in the Fiesta Bowl in 2004 with Urban Meyer,
right?
Or like Boise State getting up there in those higher rankings,
I remember.
So it did happen more often, but then again, the college football playoff, it's new,
Right, they need to tinker with it. I just think that they took a half step when they created it, when they should have just taken a leap.
Yeah, they should have gone to the 8.
Hopefully UCF and other teams that come after them that seem like they probably deserve a chance but weren't even like close to in the running, hopefully this will motivate them to take a look at it and improve it.
And undefeated is, you beat everybody that was set before you. You can't do any better than that.
Right.
You can't do better than what you're given.
Like, what more did they have to do? They can't go back in time and schedule their games against, because these things get scheduled years in advance. They can't just call up and like, oh no, we need some games against better teams
this year, so we need some better opponents.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. So UCF is going as far as putting up a banner in their stadium that says 2017 National Champions, and all of their coaches are getting the National Championship bonus incentives included in their contracts. I think I saw it's like over $300,000.
Holy.
Do they have a point?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
I don't
it's
like
this. It's not delusional? Is it delusional?
No, it is.
Okay.
It's both. I'm on both. Like, it's both sends a message and it's also a little bit delusional and embarrassing.
Like, those crazy people.
I think they should have paid the coaches, and I don't necessarily have a problem with raising the banner. Maybe like a symbolic banner. I think they took the message and they took it too far.
A little too far.
That is a little bit much.
Yeah.
But they have a point. I don't fault them at all for believing that they should be the national champions, or at least that they should have been in the playoff.
And now this begs all kinds of questions, like how college football is rigged for the SEC to succeed. And I had a debate with somebody about how the Big Ten has been robbed of recruiting and TV money, and it's always stacked against them, and blah, 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 blah. And then it always gets into even just... I had lunch with a Clemson fan yesterday. She's my dear friend.
That's sad.
But I know. But she was saying how, but there's that team. Alabama wasn't even supposed to be in the playoff.
They sat
There's
at home.
Other team.
They sat at home on conference championship weekend.
But
and
they
you're
lost
telling
one
me
game.
UCF or Ohio State did not deserve a chance?
I could see UCF, but Ohio State, they lost. I can't get over it. They lost by like 35 points to unranked
Yes,
Iowa.
All right.
Ouch. That's on the field. We saw it. UCF, they didn't show us anything bad, so we don't know.
Right.
But Ohio State, no.
They showed us one bad game. I still think you should prove it on the field. If it was the NFL structure, Ohio State would have been in.
Yeah.
Because they won their division.
But Alabama showed up. They proved they beat the number 1 team. I think that puts the end to all of that.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, the current officially sanctioned college football playoff national championship game will be played on Tuesday, January 9th, 10 a.m. local Japan time, which you can get on AFN TV. And either Georgia or Alabama will be hoisting the crystal football. Let's talk about preview and projections. This game reminds me a lot of the Alabama-LSU championship a few years ago, another SEC matchup, and in that both teams live by their staunch defenses and punishing run game. Nothing flashy, on offense. They're just kind of workhorses. They get it done. I'm expecting this to be a pretty low-scoring game. Alabama's favored to win, even though they finished the season ranked lower than Georgia. But I think we can't forget that the game will be played in Atlanta, in the Bulldogs' backyard. And they're running on all kinds of momentum coming off that Rose Bowl. What do you think?
It feels like Georgia's going to win.
Yeah,
Jantzee.
right? That's just the headlines. It just feels
I mean,
like that.
you can chalk up the X's and O's any way you want. And honestly, if you compare these teams on paper, I still think that Georgia's a better team. But one thing that you can't discount is the intangibles, and it feels like this is Georgia's year. I mean, that's a real thing. When the players believe, and when the fans believe, and when there's that level of excitement, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just universal energy. It just feels like this is Georgia's. It feels like this is Georgia's year.
Now, Nick Saban has never lost to a former pupil, which Kirby Smart is. He has a good record as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And his team is back clicking. A lot of people are back from injury, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a good game. Regardless, I think / hope it'll be a good game. I kind of don't want it to be super low scoring because even though I love defense,
give me like a mid-20s scoring.
A respectable.
Nothing. I don't want it to be a barn burner. I mean, those games are more exciting. See Georgia, Oklahoma. But I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be a 13-10 kind of game.
Yeah, me either. Especially for the average fan, like that's just hard to follow.
Right. It's not good for college football.
Yes. Well, we shall see. I can't believe that college football season is over. That seemed to go by so quickly. But don't you worry, football season isn't over quite yet.
Nope.
We still got the NFL playoffs.
Squint it.
Which, of course, are also kicking off this weekend. It's NFL wildcard weekend, and there are a few big matchups coming up where teams will battle for a spot in the playoffs. We have 4 games this weekend. Titans at Chiefs and Jaguars versus Bills for the AFC. Then the Rams versus Falcons and the Saints versus Panthers for the NFC. And, of course, one of the biggest storylines is that this is the first time the Buffalo Bills have made the playoffs since 1999.
Bills Mafia. First one this century. First one this millennium.
What's kind of funny is that there's been some pretty decent Bills teams in the past decade.
There have. Yeah, no, it's not bad.
This one has made it in.
Yes,
so
they snuck in by the hair on their chinny chin chins.
So we shall see. But here are my predictions for the win-in-you're-in matchups. Tennessee at Kansas. The Titans have been all over the place lately, and Marcus Mariota is unpredictable. So I'm going to take the boring Chiefs. Plus, I just like Alex Smith. He's reliable.
I like Alex Smith too. I think he's a good quarterback. Of course, he would choose a
and he's on his last leg. He has kind of a lot to prove. They've been kind of down on him lately.
I don't want to take the boring pick, Jantzee.
No.
You said it with your college football bracket. You got to choose some upsets, right?
Okay.
Tennessee.
Okay.
Marcus Mariota has a great game. They go into Arrowhead Stadium and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
We will see next week. And then Buffalo, Jacksonville. Both these are teams that we aren't used to hearing mentioned alongside.
You see playoffs. That game during the regular season, you're like, yuck.
I'm watching what else is on.
Yeah. Rather watch Judge Judy reruns.
But here we are. But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills, riding out the excitement of breaking their playoff drought into next week. That's my upset pick for the weekend.
I'm sticking with Jacksonville on this one. They
I
are
just like an underdog,
the number 3 seed in the AFC, Jantzee, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their defense, Jantzee, picked off Ben Roethlisberger 5 times.
Yeah.
And actually, they came out, did the Steelers, and they said, we want Jacksonville. We want a chance at redemption.
So they're rooting for Jacksonville. Okay.
They are.
That adds a little to it.
I think Jacksonville's the better team, and I think they're going to win.
Me too. But I don't mean me. I mean, I want the Bills. I kind of want the Bills. I think
no, you went back on what you said.
Okay. Moving on. Atlanta at Los Angeles. The Falcons aren't the same team that played in the Super Bowl last year. And, handed it to Tom Brady. But I'm sick of hearing about that.
Yeah, for 3 quarters.
And as of late, the Rams have looked like one of the best teams in football with the balance on offense and defense. So I'm going for the Rams.
Yeah, I like the Rams. I like Jared Goff. I like Todd Gurley. That's a
they're exciting.
Good running back right there. They're exciting. I really wish that Philly was still had Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
because those 2 teams to me are the most exciting young teams in the NFL.
And I think they have the best chance at topping whoever. I say whoever, but it'll be the Patriots in the AFC.
It is a tough draw for Los Angeles to get the Falcons for the first round because they don't have, and a lot of it's been made of this week, Jantzee, is they don't have the playoff experience.
Yep, they don't. They're young.
That can either be a benefit or a detriment. We shall see. I mean, they're in Los Angeles, so they have that going for them. But Matt Ryan and these guys, they've been here before,
seasoned. Man. They know what they're doing.
If anyone's going to beat them, it would be Atlanta. So I don't know. It's too close for me to call. I hope LA wins, but I think that Atlanta might win.
Okay. I'm pulling for LA. I have hope. Okay, Carolina at New Orleans. The Saints are finally clicking and their ground game is working with an aging Drew Brees, throwing less and game managing more, and their defense finally woke up. And I just don't think Carolina's offense is up to the challenge, even though I secretly have a soft spot for Cam Newton that I can't quite justify. But I just do. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, I think despite the additions of Christian McCaffrey and they traded away Kelvin Benjamin, they got Funchess as their top guy now. Their offense hadn't been bad this year. I just think that the Saints are the better team. It's a divisional matchup, so anything can happen.
Yeah. And I've personally witnessed Cam Newton fall apart.
In the Super Bowl.
He just gets hyped up and he gets confident and
he's definitely a roller coaster of emotions.
And it's been a few years.
So maybe he's matured a little bit.
Maybe he's matured, calmed down.
See,
but he doesn't have the same weapons as he did back then either.
No, he does not. He still has that set of legs.
Yeah, and that arm and that body. And
right. Well, now, Jantzee, let's put.
I meant height and weight and athletic ability. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I mean, the way you said it, I'm just saying, we can probably cut that part.
It doesn't matter. Devin doesn't listen anyway.
Right.
Okay. So there you have it. You told us your thoughts, what you think is going to happen. We shall see. And as always, you can catch all of these games on AFN TV. Make sure you check out myafn.net for your complete TV schedule. Well, that's going to have to do it for us today. It was all about football this week, but next time we'll be diving into the NBA season heating up and all kinds of other good stuff.
Isaiah Thomas is back.
Drama. Boom, boom, boom. We hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back next week. Stay safe out there, and don't forget, you have to look good to play good.